She had him pinned against the bedroom wall before he'd finished saying her name, his mouth claiming hers with desperate hunger. 3 years of starvation finally breaking free. Jae-sung hadn't felt his own arousal since the poison. Hadn't felt heat, hadn't felt need, hadn't felt that primal hunger that made a man lose control, until Thandiwe walked into his world and his dead body roared back with a vengeance that shocked even him. She'd agreed to be theirs for 1 month, to live in the penthouse, and let them both have her whenever the emptiness crept back in, all for enough money to save her family from poverty. But as his hand stripped away her clothes, as she arched into him moaning his name like a prayer, he knew the contract was a lie. 30 days would never be enough. And when his best friend Min-ho discovered she could cure him too, everything would change. Because she wasn't just Jae-sung's cure. She was their oxygen, and only one of them could keep her. Hit subscribe. This is going to be spicy and you don't want to miss any bit of it. The bass thundered through the walls of Velvet Noir, the most exclusive nightclub in downtown Los Angeles. Jae-sung Park sat in the private booth on the 2nd floor, his face carved from stone as 2 men in expensive suits talked numbers across the table. Beside him, his best friend and business partner Min-ho Choi nodded occasionally, his expression equally blank. They were discussing territory, money, and loyalty, the usual business that kept their organization running like a well-oiled machine. But neither man heard a word. For 3 years, they had moved through life like ghosts. They attended meetings, gave orders, and built their empire together. But they felt nothing. The poison that nearly killed them had stolen something more precious than their lives. It had stolen their ability to feel. No anger. No joy. No desire. Nothing. The doctors called it nerve damage. Permanent, they said. They were alive, but not living. It happened the same night. A business dinner that went wrong. Someone put poison in the whiskey they shared, a toast between brothers that became a death sentence. They collapsed within minutes of each other. Both their hearts stopped on the way to the hospital. The doctors saved their lives but couldn't save what made them human. Tonight felt like every other night. Empty. Cold. Dead inside. Then the lights on the main stage shifted to deep purple and the crowd below erupted in cheers. Jae-sung glanced down at the stage without interest. Another dancer. He owned this club, so he'd seen hundreds of performances. They all blurred together into meaningless movement and fake smiles. But then she stepped into the spotlight. And something inside his chest lurched violently. The woman moving across the stage was different. She had rich brown skin that glowed under the lights like polished bronze. Her body curved in ways that made his mouth go dry. But it wasn't just her beauty that caught him. It was the way she moved, graceful, confident, yet there was an innocence in her eyes that didn't match her surroundings. She danced like she was telling a story, her hips swaying to the rhythm as if the music lived inside her bones. Jae-sung's heart slammed against his ribs. Once. Twice. 3 times. His hand gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles turned white. Heat spread through his body like wildfire, starting low in his belly and racing outward until his skin burned. His pants tightened uncomfortably, and shock rippled through him like lightning. This couldn't be happening. For 3 years, his body had been a useless shell. No woman had stirred even the slightest reaction. He'd tried everything, different women, medications, therapies. Nothing worked. The doctors told him to accept his new reality. He was broken. Finished. But right now, watching this stranger dance, he felt everything. His pulse pounded in his ears. His breath came faster. Blood rushed through his veins like a flood breaking through a dam. And lower, much lower, his body responded in ways he thought were impossible. Boss. Jae-sung barely heard the voice. Boss. He jerked his head toward Min-ho, ready to snap at the interruption. But the words died in his throat. Min-ho's face had transformed. Color flooded his usually pale cheeks. His eyes were wide, fixed on the stage with an intensity that bordered on madness. His chest rose and fell rapidly, like he'd just run a marathon. Their eyes met. Understanding passed between them in that instant. The same shock. The same disbelief. The same desperate hope. You feel it too, Jae-sung said. It wasn't a question. Min-ho nodded slowly, his voice hoarse. Everything. I feel everything. They both turned back to the stage, watching the woman dance. She moved with such natural grace, completely unaware that she'd just performed a miracle. 2 miracles. Who is she? Min-ho asked. Jae-sung was already pulling out his phone, texting their head of security. 30 seconds later, the response came back. New girl. Started 2 weeks ago. Goes by Thandiwe. The song ended and Thandiwe disappeared backstage. The crowd screamed for more, but both men were already on their feet. Get her, Jae-sung ordered into his phone. Bring her to the VIP room. Now. They moved through the club like men possessed, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Their security team scrambled to follow, confused by the sudden urgency. Neither boss had shown this much emotion about anything in 3 years. In the private VIP room, they waited. Jae-sung paced like a caged animal. Min-ho stood by the window, his hands clenched into fists. What if it stops? Min-ho's voice was tight with fear. What if the feeling goes away? It won't. Jae-sung didn't know if he believed that, but he needed to. It can't. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Finally, the door opened and she walked in. Up close, she was even more beautiful. She'd changed into a simple dress that covered more than her stage outfit, but somehow that made her even more appealing. Her hair fell in natural curls around her shoulders. Her brown eyes were wide and cautious, like a deer that sensed danger but hadn't decided whether to run yet. You wanted to see me? Her voice was soft, with an accent they couldn't quite place. African, but not one they recognized. Both men stared at her, their chests rising and falling with each breath. The heat that had flooded through them during her performance intensified now that she was close. Every nerve ending fired at once. It was almost painful in its intensity. Sit. Jae-sung pointed to the leather couch. His voice came out rougher than he intended. Thandiwe hesitated, her fingers twisting the fabric of her dress. Am I in trouble? Because if I did something wrong. You're not in trouble, Min-ho interrupted, softening his tone. Please. Sit. She perched on the edge of the couch, her posture stiff and ready to bolt. Smart girl. She sensed the danger radiating off them. Most people did. They'd built their reputation on fear and control. But right now, neither felt in control. Jae-sung leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes locked on hers. What's your name? Your real name. Thandiwe Okafor. But everyone calls me Thandi. Thandiwe. Min-ho tested the name on his tongue, and even saying it sent a strange thrill through him. Where are you from? Botswana. I came here 2 years ago. She tucked a curl behind her ear, clearly nervous. Sirs, I really don't understand why I'm here. Did someone complain about my performance? No, Jae-sung said quickly. Your performance was perfect. Then why? 3 years ago, Min-ho interrupted, moving to sit across from her. Something happened to us. We were poisoned. Both of us. Same night, same poison. Thandiwe's eyes widened slightly. We survived, Jae-sung continued, but the poison broke something inside us. We couldn't feel anything anymore. No emotions. No physical sensations. Nothing. He watched her face, saw confusion mixed with sympathy. The doctors said it was permanent, Min-ho added. That we'd live the rest of our lives as empty shells. That sounds horrible, Thandiwe whispered. It was. It is. Jae-sung stood abruptly, unable to sit still. He paced the room like a caged animal, his hands flexing at his sides. For 3 years we've been dead inside. Going through the motions of living but feeling nothing. No happiness. No sadness. And definitely no. He stopped, turning to face her fully. No desire. Understanding began to dawn in her eyes, followed quickly by fear. She started to stand. I should go. Wait. The command in Min-ho's voice froze her in place. Jae-sung crossed the room in 3 long strides, stopping just inches from her. Close enough that he could smell her perfume, something sweet and warm, like vanilla and honey. Close enough that the heat from her body made his skin prickle with awareness. We need you to understand what you've done, he said quietly. I haven't done anything. Her voice trembled, but she held her ground. Brave. So brave. You've done everything. Min-ho stood as well, approaching from her other side. For 3 years, we felt nothing. Tried everything. Different doctors, specialists from around the world, medications, therapy. Nothing worked. Then tonight, Jae-sung continued, we watched you dance. And for the first time in 3 years. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and touched her cheek with his fingertips. The contact sent electricity shooting up his arm and straight to his chest. His breath caught. His body tightened with want. We felt alive again, Min-ho finished. Thandiwe's eyes went wide. She stumbled back, putting distance between them. I don't understand. I'm just a dancer. I haven't done anything to you. Yet here we stand, Jae-sung gestured at himself, at Min-ho, at the evidence of their arousal that neither could hide even if they wanted to. Feeling things we thought were gone forever. You brought us back to life, Thandiwe. Both of us. She shook her head, backing toward the door. You're scaring me. I think I should leave. $50,000. Min-ho's words stopped her cold. She turned slowly, suspicion warring with need on her face. What? Have dinner with us tomorrow night, Jae-sung said. Just dinner. Let us figure out what's happening. In exchange, we'll give you $50,000. He saw her swallow hard, saw the way her hands trembled. They were offering her more money than she probably made in a year. Why would you pay that much just to have dinner with me? Suspicion won out. What do you really want? Min-ho moved closer again, drawn to her like a magnet. We want to feel alive. For 3 years, we've been walking through fog, existing but not living. You cleared that fog. We don't know how or why, but when we're near you, everything comes rushing back. If there's even a chance that you can give us our lives back, Jae-sung added, then $50,000 is nothing. Thandiwe bit her lip, clearly torn. They could see the battle playing out behind her eyes. She needed the money desperately. But she also knew that men like them didn't offer that kind of money without expecting something in return. Just dinner, she asked carefully. Nothing else? Just dinner, Min-ho confirmed. You have our word. Jae-sung pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. We'll transfer half now as a show of good faith. The other half after dinner tomorrow, whether anything happens between us or not. You keep the money either way. They could see the exact moment she decided. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, and she gave a small nod. Okay. Just dinner. But somewhere public. A restaurant. Agreed. Jae-sung smiled for the first time in 3 years. It felt strange on his face, like his muscles had forgotten how. Give me your number. We'll send you the details tomorrow. She recited her number and he typed it into his phone. $25,000 transferred with the press of a button. Her phone buzzed in her small purse and she pulled it out. Her eyes went huge when she saw the notification. This is real, she whispered. Very real, Min-ho said. Jae-sung stepped closer one last time, unable to resist. He wanted to touch her again, to confirm that this feeling wasn't just his imagination. His hand cupped her face, his thumb brushing her soft cheek. Heat exploded through him. His body ached with need. The hunger clawing at his insides was almost overwhelming. "Tomorrow night, Thandiwe," he said softly. "Don't make us wait longer than that." Then he forced himself to step back and let her go. She practically ran from the room, and he didn't blame her. They'd probably terrified her. But as he watched her disappear through the door, one thing became crystal clear. That woman was either their salvation or their destruction. After 3 years of feeling nothing, they would take anything she could give them. Even if it destroyed them both. Even if it destroyed their friendship. Because when the door closed behind her, Jae-sung and Min-ho turned to look at each other. And in that moment, they both knew the truth neither wanted to say out loud. They'd just found the one thing that could finally come between them. And her name was Thandiwe. Thandiwe stood outside the tall glass building in Beverly Hills, her stomach twisted in knots. The address both men had sent her that morning wasn't a restaurant. It was a residential tower, one of the most expensive in Los Angeles. She'd looked it up online. Penthouses here cost millions of dollars. They'd lied to her. Or at least changed the plan without asking. Her finger hovered over her phone, ready to call a taxi and leave. $25,000 already sat in her bank account. She could keep it and disappear. They'd never find her in a city this big. But then she thought about her mother lying in a hospital bed back in Botswana. About her 3 younger siblings who needed school fees and food. $25,000 would help. $50,000 would change everything. Besides, something about last night had felt real. Desperate, yes. Intense, absolutely. But real. The way they'd looked at her, like she was the answer to a prayer they'd stopped saying. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the glass doors. A man in a black suit waited in the lobby. He looked like security, all hard edges and cold eyes. "Miss Okafor." He didn't wait for her answer. "Mr. Park and Mr. Choi are expecting you. This way." He led her to a private elevator that required a key card. The ride up seemed to take forever, her heart pounding harder with each passing floor. What was she doing? She barely knew these men. They could be anyone. They could want anything. But when the elevator doors opened directly into a penthouse apartment, her breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city stretched out below like a blanket of lights. The furniture was sleek and modern, all clean lines and expensive taste. Art hung on the walls that probably cost more than her entire life back home. And there, standing by the windows, were both of them. Jae-sung turned first when he heard the elevator. He wore black pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, showing strong forearms. His dark hair was slightly messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. Min-ho stood beside him, dressed similarly but in a dark gray shirt. Where Jae-sung radiated dangerous intensity, Min-ho had a quieter, more controlled presence. But his eyes held the same desperate hunger. "You came." Relief colored Jae-sung's words. "We weren't sure you would. You said a restaurant." Thandiwe crossed her arms, trying to look braver than she felt. "This isn't a restaurant." "We know," Min-ho said, moving toward her slowly. "We apologize for the deception. But we couldn't risk taking you somewhere public. Our lives are complicated. Being seen with us could put you in danger. This was safer." "Safer for you, you mean?" Thandiwe stepped back, keeping distance between them. "How do I know you won't hurt me?" "You don't," Jae-sung's honesty surprised her. "But we give you our word that we won't touch you unless you want us to. You can leave at any time. The elevator will take you straight down. No questions asked." She studied both their faces, looking for lies. But all she saw was that same desperate hunger from last night. They needed something from her. But she didn't think it was what most men wanted. At least not only that. "Fine." She kept her phone visible in her hand. "But I'm keeping this where I can reach it. And I have friends who know where I am." A lie. But they didn't need to know that. Smart, Min-ho said with something like approval in his voice. He gestured toward a dining table set for three near the windows. Candles flickered even though the city lights made them unnecessary. We had food prepared. We hope you like Italian. Thandiwe's stomach growled, betraying her nervousness. She hadn't been able to eat all day. Italian is fine. They sat, her on one side, both men across from her. Servers appeared from somewhere in the apartment to bring plates of pasta, bread, and salad. The food smelled incredible, but she barely tasted it. She was too aware of both men watching her every movement. You said you needed to understand what's happening to you, she said after several minutes of tense silence. So explain it to me. Because I still don't understand how I did anything. Jae-sung set down his fork, his expression serious. 3 years ago, we were at a business meeting. Someone put poison in our drinks, a bottle of whiskey we shared. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late. We both collapsed, Min-ho continued. Our hearts stopped on the way to the hospital. Mine stopped twice. His stopped 3 times. Jae-sung touched his chest, right over his heart. The doctors saved our lives, but the poison damaged our nervous systems. They said we were lucky to be alive at all. But you lost your feelings. Thandiwe's voice softened despite her caution. She couldn't imagine living without emotions, without the ability to feel happiness or love or even pain. Everything, Min-ho confirmed. Emotions, physical sensations, desire, all of it just disappeared. Like someone flipped a switch. Jae-sung leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. We tried everything. Different doctors, specialists from around the world, medications, therapy. Nothing worked. They told us to accept it. That we'd spend the rest of our lives this way. That must have been terrible. The words came out genuine. Whatever else they were, whatever dangerous things they did, they had suffered. It was worse than death, Jae-sung's jaw clenched. At least in death there's peace. But this was like being trapped in a prison inside our own bodies. We could see life happening around us, but we couldn't participate. We were just observers. And then we saw you dance, Min-ho added softly. And everything changed. Jae-sung stood abruptly, moving to the window. His reflection showed tension in every line of his body. When you stepped onto that stage, our hearts started beating again. Really beating, not just pumping blood. We felt heat spread through our bodies. Our skin became sensitive. And we wanted you. He turned to face her, and the raw honesty in his eyes made her shiver. We wanted you with an intensity that terrified us. After 3 years of nothing, suddenly we wanted everything. The air between them felt charged, electric. Thandiwe gripped the edge of the table. But why me? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. What makes me different from any other woman? We don't know, Min-ho said, frustration leaking into his voice. We've been around hundreds of women in 3 years. Beautiful women, powerful women. Nothing. Not even a flicker. But you, Jae-sung's voice was rough with emotion. Thandiwe Okafor from Botswana, who dances to support her family. You made us feel alive again. How do you know about my family? Alarm bells rang in her head. We had you investigated, Min-ho admitted. We're sorry, but we needed to know who you were. We're not safe men, Thandiwe. We run an organization that deals in things the law frowns upon. We have enemies who would love to use anyone close to us as a weapon. We had to make sure you weren't sent by them. So you know everything about me. Anger replaced her sympathy. You know about my mother's illness, about my siblings, about why I came to America. Yes, Jae-sung said quietly. And we know you send almost every dollar you make back home. We know you live in a tiny apartment with 2 roommates and eat instant noodles most nights so you can afford your mother's treatments. His voice gentled. We also know you're one of the bravest people we've ever met. You left everything you knew, came to a foreign country, and did whatever it took to save your family. That takes incredible strength. Thandiwe blinked back unexpected tears. No one had ever called her brave before. Desperate, maybe. Foolish, definitely. But never brave. I did what I had to do. Exactly. Min-ho moved closer, his presence warm at her side. And that's part of what draws us to you. You have this light inside you that nothing has managed to extinguish. Despite everything you've been through, you still have hope. Still have goodness. We've been surrounded by darkness for so long, Jae-sung added, coming to stand on her other side. We forgot what light looked like. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers brushed her hand where it rested on the table. The contact sent sparks racing up her arm. She gasped. You feel it too, Min-ho said softly. It wasn't a question. Yes. The word came out breathless. She did feel it. This strange electricity that seemed to arc between them whenever they touched. But I don't understand it. Neither do we, Jae-sung admitted. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand, and each touch made her skin burn hotter. But we don't care about understanding it anymore. All we care about is that when we touch you, we feel human again. Min-ho's hand found her other hand, his touch just as electric. When we look at you, we want things we thought we'd never want again. Thandiwe's heart raced. She should pull away. Should leave right now. But their touches felt like fire and ice and everything in between. And she found herself craving more instead of less. What do you want from me? She whispered. The two men exchanged a look, some silent communication passing between them. Then Jae-sung spoke. We have a proposition for you. A business arrangement. Her stomach clenched. I'm listening. Stay with us for 1 month, Min-ho said carefully. Live here in this penthouse. Be with us whenever we need to feel alive again. Both of you? Her voice came out sharp with disbelief. Both of us, Jae-sung confirmed. We understand how that sounds. But the poison affected us both. You cure us both. We need you equally. In exchange, Min-ho continued, we'll pay off every single one of your family's debts. Your mother's medical bills, your siblings' school fees, everything. We'll set them up in a proper house with money in the bank. They'll never have to worry about money again. The room spun slightly. How much are we talking about? $500,000. Thandiwe's hands trembled. That was more money than she could earn in 10 lifetimes of dancing. That was life-changing, family-saving money. That was her mother getting the surgery she needed. Her brothers and sister going to university. A real home instead of a shack with a leaking roof. Why would you pay that much? Suspicion crept into her voice. What exactly would I have to do for this money? Jae-sung moved around the table until he stood in front of her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. Be ours. Only ours. Live here so we can come home to you every night. Let us touch you, Min-ho added from her other side. Kiss you. Make love to you whenever this emptiness starts creeping back in. Jae-sung cupped her face, his thumb brushing her lower lip. You're our cure, Thandiwe. The only thing that makes us feel human. We need you. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. You're asking me to be your, both of you. We're asking you to save us, Min-ho said quietly. But we understand how it sounds. We're essentially buying your time, your body, your presence. If that offends you, tell us to go to hell and walk out that door. We'll still transfer the other 25,000 we owe you. Thandiwe's mind raced. Everything in her screamed that this was wrong. You couldn't put a price on a person. Her grandmother would be horrified. But then she thought about her mother's tired face on their last video call. About how her sister had dropped out of school because they couldn't afford fees. About her brothers sharing one pair of shoes between them. 1 month, she said slowly, testing the words. And then what? You get bored of me and move on to the next woman who makes you feel something? We don't know what happens after 1 month. Jae-sung's honesty surprised her. Maybe the effect wears off. Maybe you get tired of us and our dark world. But we're willing to take that risk if you are. I want conditions. The words came out stronger than she felt. If I'm going to do this, we do it my way. Interest flickered in both their eyes. Name them, Min-ho said. She stood, needing to feel less vulnerable. First, you treat me with respect. I'm not your property. I'm a person making a choice. Agreed, they said in unison. Second, I want half the money up front, sent directly to my family. The other half when the month ends, whether you're happy with me or not. Agreed, Jae-sung said. Third, she lifted her chin, meeting both their gazes. I can leave any time if I feel unsafe or if you break our agreement. And you let me go without any trouble. Agreed, Min-ho confirmed. And fourth, she took a deep breath. You tell me the truth about who you are, what you do, the danger I might be in. No more secrets. The two men looked at each other, then back at her. We run a criminal organization, Jae-sung said bluntly. Korean syndicate. We deal in things that would make you uncomfortable: import, export, protection, information. We have enemies who would kill us if they had the chance. Being with us puts a target on your back, Min-ho added. We can protect you, but we can't promise you'll never be in danger. Fear trickled down her spine. But she pushed it away. Is that truth enough? That's the truth, Jae-sung confirmed. Thandiwe looked between both men, these dangerous, broken, desperate men who needed her in ways she still didn't fully understand. She thought about her family. About the life this money could give them. About the fact that she'd already felt more alive in their presence than she had in 2 years of struggling in America. Then we have a deal. Relief washed over both their faces. Jae-sung pulled out his phone, making a call in rapid Korean. When he hung up, he looked at her with something like admiration. $250,000 will be in your family's account within the hour. Our lawyers will set up the rest in a trust that releases when our month ends. Thandiwe's knees went weak. It was real. She just agreed to sell herself for a month. And she couldn't even feel guilty about it because all she could think about was her mother finally getting treatment. I need to get my things from my apartment, she said, trying to sound steady. We'll send people to pack and move everything here, Min-ho said. Right now. His hands slid around her waist, pulling her closer. Jae-sung moved to her other side, his fingers trailing up her arm. Right now, Jae-sung finished, we need you again. We need to know this is real. She should stop them. Should keep some distance. Remember that this was a business arrangement. But when Min-ho's lips found the sensitive spot on her neck, when Jae-sung's hands cupped her face and his mouth claimed hers, when both of them touched her like she was precious and necessary and wanted, all her good intentions melted away. Don't stop, she breathed against Jae-sung's lips. And they didn't. They made love to her right there in the penthouse, both of them worshipping her body, learning what made her gasp and moan. It was overwhelming and intense and perfect. And as she lay between them afterward, both men holding her like she might disappear, Thandiwe realized she was in serious trouble. These dangerous men, with their dark world and empty eyes, had somehow found a way past all her defenses. And she had no idea how she was going to protect her heart when this month was over. Especially when she could already feel herself falling. For both of them. Thandiwe woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and silk sheets against her bare skin. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memories of last night flooded back, both men, their hands, their mouths, the way they'd worshipped her body together. Heat rushed to her cheeks. The spaces on either side of her were empty but still warm. She sat up, holding the sheet to her chest, and heard sounds coming from the kitchen. Following the noise, she found both men. Jae-sung stood shirtless at the stove, flipping something that smelled amazing. Min-ho leaned against the counter with a coffee mug, fully dressed in a suit. When they noticed her standing in the doorway wearing nothing but Jae-sung's shirt from last night, both men's eyes darkened with want. "Good morning," Min-ho said, his voice rough with appreciation. "Morning." She felt suddenly shy, which was ridiculous after everything they'd done in the darkness. "Coffee?" Jae-sung gestured to the pot. "And I'm making breakfast. Nothing fancy, just eggs and toast." The domesticity of the scene felt surreal. These dangerous men who ran a criminal empire, making her breakfast like this was normal. "I should probably get ready," she said awkwardly. "My shift at the club starts at 6. "About that." Min-ho set down his mug. "You don't work there anymore. We bought out your contract this morning." "You what?" Indignation flared in her chest. "Part of our agreement," Jae-sung reminded her gently. "Your hours for the month. That means no other men watching you dance, no other men looking at what belongs to us." The possessiveness should have angered her. Instead, it sent an unwelcome thrill through her body. "So what am I supposed to do all day?" she asked. "Just sit here waiting for you to need me?" Actually, Min-ho pulled out his phone, showing her a screenshot. $250,000 was transferred to your mother's account an hour ago. She's already scheduled for surgery next week. Tears sprang to Thandiwe's eyes. Her phone was in the bedroom, but she could imagine the messages from her family, her mother's joy, her siblings' excitement. Everything was changing because of the choice she'd made. "Thank you," she whispered. Jae-sung crossed to her, pulling her into his arms. "You're giving us something priceless. This is the least we can do." They ate breakfast together, the three of them figuring out this strange new dynamic. Afterward, both men had to leave for business. But before they did, they gave her instructions, security protocols, emergency numbers, a credit card with no limit. "Hiroshi will be by this afternoon," Min-ho said, buttoning his suit jacket. "Our head of security. He'll go over everything with you. And tonight," Jae-sung added, his hand cupping her face, "we'll all have dinner together. Really talk about how this arrangement will work." After they left, the penthouse felt impossibly large and empty. Thandiwe explored properly, the massive closet now filled with her cheap clothes alongside expensive new ones they'd bought. The bathroom with its enormous tub. The second bedroom that was clearly Min-ho's private space, separate from Jae-sung's master suite. The setup told her everything. They shared her, but they each had their own territory. Their own time with her. She was texting her overjoyed mother when the doorbell rang, or rather, when someone used a key code to enter. A Japanese man in his mid-40s stepped in, his expression unreadable. "Miss Okafor. I'm Hiroshi Tanaka, head of security for Mr. Park and Mr. Choi." He bowed slightly. "May we talk?" Over the next hour, Hiroshi explained the reality of her new life. The enemies who would love to use her against the men. The security measures in place. The dangers of leaving the building without protection. "This seems excessive," she interrupted his explanation of the building's 12 security cameras. "Am I really in that much danger?" Hiroshi looked at her with something like pity. "Miss Okafor, do you understand who they are? What they do?" "They said they run a criminal organization." "They run the most powerful Korean syndicate on the West Coast," Hiroshi corrected. "They control ports, smuggling routes, have connections to organizations across the Pacific. They have enemies who would love nothing more than to hurt them through someone they care about." He leaned forward. "And make no mistake, they care about you. I've known both of them for 15 years. Watched them build their empire together. Watched them nearly die 3 years ago. And I've never seen either of them look at anyone the way they look at you." "They barely know me," she protested. "Yet they're paying you $500,000 to stay." Hiroshi's eyes narrowed. "Many women have tried to get close to them over the years. Beautiful women, connected women, dangerous women. They never looked twice. But you, a dancer from Botswana with no connections and no agenda, you made them feel again. That makes you either very special or very dangerous. I'm not dangerous. I'm just trying to help my family. Then let me give you some advice. He stood, preparing to leave. Don't fall in love with them. Either of them. Don't think this will last beyond your month. They live in darkness, and people who get too close get burned. Take your money, help your family, and walk away clean. Anything else will only end in heartbreak. His words stung because they echoed her own fears. That evening, both men came home. Jae-sung immediately pulled her into his arms, kissing her like he'd been starving for her all day. Min-ho waited his turn, then claimed her mouth with equal hunger. We missed you, Min-ho murmured against her lips. It's only been 8 hours, she laughed, but warmth bloomed in her chest. Over dinner, take-out Chinese food eaten straight from the containers, they discussed the arrangement properly. We need to establish some rules, Jae-sung said. Boundaries that keep everyone comfortable. Like what? Thandiwe asked. Like time, Min-ho explained. We can't both be with you constantly. We have businesses to run, enemies to deal with. So we alternate, one night with Jae-sung, one night with me. Unless you want us both, Jae-sung finished. Then we share. Heat flooded her face. And you're both okay with this? Sharing me? The two men exchanged a look, that silent communication again. We've shared everything since we were teenagers, Min-ho said quietly. Built our empire together, survived death together. If anyone can make this work, it's us. But Thandiwe saw something flicker in Jae-sung's eyes. Something that looked like doubt. The first week fell into a rhythm. Monday and Wednesday nights belonged to Jae-sung. Tuesday and Thursday to Min-ho. Weekends they spent together, the three of them figuring out this complicated dance. Jae-sung was intense, passionate and possessive. When it was his night, he couldn't get enough of her. He'd come home and immediately meet her, making love to her against the door, on the couch, in the shower. He touched her like he was afraid she'd disappear. Min-ho was different, quieter but no less hungry. He savored their time together, took things slower. He'd cook for her, talk about his day, then make love to her with a tenderness that made her chest ache. Both of them made her feel precious. Wanted. Alive. And she was falling for both of them in different ways. On Friday of the second week, they took her to Las Vegas. Private jet, expensive hotel suite, high-stakes meetings where she stood by their sides wearing a designer dress they'd bought her. She watched them work, the power they wielded, the respect and fear they commanded. It should have terrified her. Instead, she found herself fascinated by their world. At a late-night meeting in a private room, she sat between them while men in expensive suits talked territory and money. Everything seemed fine until one man made a comment in Korean. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone, mocking, dismissive. And the way several men laughed while looking at her. Jae-sung's hand shot out, grabbing the man's throat. In seconds, the room erupted. Guns appeared. Shouting filled the air. Min-ho pushed Thandiwe behind him, shielding her with his body. Say one more word about her. Jae-sung's voice was deadly calm despite the violence crackling in the air, and I'll kill you right here. The man choked out an apology. Slowly, tension drained from the room. Guns disappeared. People sat back down. But the meeting was over. In the car back to the airport, Thandiwe's hands shook. What did he say about me? Nothing that matters. Jae-sung's jaw was still clenched. He disrespected you, Min-ho said quietly. Called you their whore. Said you were only with them for money. Isn't that true? The words came out bitter. That's literally our arrangement. No. Jae-sung turned to face her, his eyes blazing. What we pay you is for your time. What happens between us, what we feel, that can't be bought. He's right, Min-ho added. This stopped being just business the moment we touched you. Back in Los Angeles, safe in the penthouse, both men were unusually quiet. Thandiwe showered and changed, still shaken by how quickly things had turned violent. She found them in the living room, having what looked like a tense conversation. They stopped when she entered. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Fine," Jae-sung said, but his tone said otherwise. That night was supposed to be Min-ho's night. But when bedtime came, Jae-sung didn't retreat to his room. He stayed, his eyes tracking her every movement. "I need you tonight," he said quietly. "I know it's not my turn, but—" "We'll share," Min-ho interrupted, though something tight crossed his expression. "Tonight we both need her." They made love to her together, both of them touching her, kissing her, worshipping her body. But Thandiwe sensed something different. A tension that hadn't been there before. The way Jae-sung held her a little tighter. The way Min-ho watched them with something dark in his eyes. Something was changing. The arrangement that seemed so logical, so manageable, was starting to crack. Because you couldn't share a person's body without eventually wanting to claim their heart. And both men were starting to realize they wanted more than just their scheduled nights. They wanted all of her. All the time. Only for themselves. On Sunday morning, Thandiwe woke alone. She found a note on the pillow. Had to handle some business. Be back tonight. Don't leave the penthouse. Jae-sung. She spent the day restless, unable to shake the feeling that something had shifted. That the careful balance they'd maintained was about to shatter. When they finally came home that evening, something was definitely wrong. They barely looked at each other. The easy camaraderie that usually existed between them was gone, replaced by cold politeness. "What happened?" she asked as they sat down to dinner that neither man had appetite for. "Nothing," Jae-sung said. "Don't lie to me." She set down her fork. "Something's wrong. I can feel it." The two men looked at each other. Then Min-ho spoke, his voice careful. "We ran into some trouble today. Had to make some hard decisions about the business. That's not all." Jae-sung's words were sharp. "Tell her the truth." Jae-sung. "Tell her." Min-ho's jaw clenched. "We had a disagreement. About the arrangement. About you." Thandiwe's stomach dropped. "What kind of disagreement?" "The kind where we both realized," Jae-sung said, standing abruptly, "that sharing you is killing us." Silence filled the room. "I thought you said you could make this work," Thandiwe whispered. "You said you've shared everything." "We have." Min-ho's voice was pained. "But we've never shared someone he stopped, the words dying on his lips. "Someone we love," Jae-sung finished, the admission hanging in the air like a grenade. Thandiwe's heart stopped. "What?" "We're in love with you," Jae-sung said it plainly, brutally honest. "Both of us. And we don't know how to share that." The month was only half over. And everything was already falling apart. The confession hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. "Both of you?" Thandiwe's voice came out small, disbelieving. "You both love me?" "Yes." Min-ho stood as well, his hands clenched at his sides. "And it's tearing us apart." She looked between them, these two men who'd been brothers in everything but blood, now standing on opposite sides of the room like enemies. Because of her. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she whispered. "It was just supposed to be business. 1 month. That was the deal. Deals change." Jae-sung's voice was rough. "Feelings don't follow contracts, Thandiwe. We can't help what we feel." "Then what do we do?" Her heart raced. "We still have 2 weeks left." "How do we?" "I don't know." Min-ho ran his hand through his hair, looking more lost than she'd ever seen him. "All I know is that every time it's his night with you, I can't sleep. I lie in my room listening to you laugh with him, hearing you say his name. It's driving me insane." "You think it's different for me?" Jae-sung shot back. "You think I don't want to break down your door on your nights? You think I don't imagine putting my fist through the wall every time you touch her?" Then maybe we end this now, Thandiwe said, her voice shaking. Give me the rest of the money and I'll leave. Before this destroys your friendship. No. Both men said it simultaneously, then glared at each other. We're not letting you go, Jae-sung said firmly. Not yet. Not until the month is up. We made a deal. Besides, Min-ho added quietly, leaving won't change how we feel. The damage is already done. That night, she slept alone. Both men retreated to their separate rooms, the penthouse feeling colder than it ever had before. The next few days were torture. The easy rhythm they'd established was gone. When Jae-sung had his night, Min-ho was visibly tense, leaving the penthouse entirely rather than listen to them together. When it was Min-ho's turn, Jae-sung drank heavily in his room, his anger palpable even through closed doors. And Thandiwe was caught in the middle, loving them both in different ways and hating herself for it. On Wednesday evening, Min-ho came home early. Thandiwe was in the kitchen making tea when he entered, his expression unreadable. Where's Jae-sung? She asked. Meeting with the San Francisco crew. Won't be back until late. Min-ho moved closer, his eyes intense. Which means we have time alone. Really alone. Min-ho, it's not your night. I don't care about the schedule anymore. He cupped her face in his hands. I need to talk to you. Really talk to you. He led her to the couch, sitting close enough that their knees touched. What is it? She asked, her stomach knotting with anxiety. Come away with me. The words came out urgent, desperate. Just for a few days. Let me take you somewhere Jae-sung won't find us. Give me a chance to show you what we could have together, just the two of us. That's not fair, Thandiwe pulled back. That's not part of our arrangement. Forget the arrangement. Min-ho's grip on her hands tightened. I'm asking you to choose, Thandiwe. Choose me. Not because of money or contracts, but because you feel something for me. I know you do. I see it in your eyes when you look at me. I do feel something for you, she admitted, tears pricking her eyes. But I feel something for Jae-sung too. How can I choose between you? Because you have to. His voice cracked. This situation, it's not sustainable. We're brothers, Thandiwe. We've survived everything together. But this? You? You're the one thing that could destroy us. Then let me go. I can't. He pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. God help me, I can't. Even if it means losing him, I can't lose you. The door to the penthouse slammed open. Jae-sung stood in the doorway, his expression thunderous. The meeting must have ended early. And from the look on his face, he'd heard everything. So that's how it is. His voice was ice. Trying to steal her while I'm gone? Min-ho stood slowly, releasing Thandiwe. I'm not stealing anyone. I'm giving her a choice. A choice? Jae-sung laughed bitterly. You mean manipulating her while I'm not here to defend what we have? What you have? Min-ho's voice rose. She's not yours, Jae-sung. She's not property to possess. And yet you want her all to yourself. Jae-sung moved into the room, anger radiating off him. At least I'm honest about my possessiveness. You're trying to dress it up as something noble. Stop it. Thandiwe stood, putting herself between them. Both of you, just stop. But they weren't listening. Years of brotherhood, of shared trauma and loyalty, were unraveling before her eyes. You've always been like this, Jae-sung continued, his words sharp as knives. Always wanting what I have. My position, my authority. Your position? Min-ho's laugh was harsh. I helped you build this empire. We built it together. Equal partners, remember? Then why does it feel like you're trying to take over? First the business decisions you make without consulting me, now trying to steal the woman I love? The woman you love? Min-ho stepped closer, chest to chest with his best friend. You don't love her, Jae-sung. You need her. There's a difference. You need her to feel alive, to cure your numbness. But I love her for who she is. The words hit like a physical blow. Thandiwe saw Jae-sung flinch, saw the hurt flash across his face before anger replaced it. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Min-ho's voice dropped to something dangerous. Every night with her is about you proving you can still feel. You're obsessed with reclaiming what the poison took from you. But I see her, Jae-sung. The real her. Her strength, her kindness, her courage. Not just what she can do for me. That's not fair. Thandiwe's voice shook. Jae-sung, that's not true. But Jae-sung wasn't looking at her. His eyes were locked on Min-ho, something broken and raw in his expression. Get out, he said quietly. What? Get out of my penthouse. Get out of my sight. Jae-sung's hands clenched into fists. Before I do something we'll both regret. This is my home too. Not anymore. Jae-sung's voice was final. We're done. The partnership, the friendship, all of it. Done. You don't mean that. Min-ho's face went pale. Jae-sung, we've been through everything together. And you just tried to take the one thing I can't lose. Jae-sung turned away, his shoulders rigid. So get out. Now. Min-ho looked at Thandiwe, desperation in his eyes. Come with me. Please. Don't stay here with him. Thandiwe's heart was being torn in two. She looked between them, Jae-sung's rigid back, Min-ho's pleading expression. I can't, she whispered. I can't just leave. The arrangement is with both of us, Min-ho finished. And if he's breaking it, then you owe him nothing. She stays. Jae-sung turned back, his eyes hard. The money was transferred. The contract is between her and me now. You're out. You can't do that. Watch me. Jae-sung pulled out his phone. I'm transferring your half of the payment from my personal account. Consider it buying you out. This isn't about money. Min-ho shouted. Everything is about money. Jae-sung's words were bitter. Or have you forgotten how this started? We bought her. We paid for her time. And now I'm paying to keep her. Stop it. Thandiwe's voice cut through their argument. Both of you, stop talking about me like I'm not here. Like I don't have a say in this. Both men turned to her. I'm not property to be bought and sold and fought over. Tears streamed down her face. I'm a person. And I care about both of you. But this, what you're doing to each other because of me, I can't watch it. Then choose. Jae-sung's voice was raw. Right now, Thandiwe. Choose which one of us you want. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Min-ho's eyes held hers. But he's right. You have to choose. Him or me. Because we can't do this anymore. The room spun. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst. How could she choose? How could she pick one and destroy the other? I need time, she managed. I need to think. No more time. Jae-sung crossed to her, cupping her face in his hands. I love you, Thandiwe. Not just because you cure me, but because you make me want to be better. You make me want to live, really live, not just exist. Choose me. Stay with me. Min-ho came to her other side, his hand gentle on her arm. I love you too. And I promise, if you choose me, I'll spend every day proving that you made the right choice. I'll protect you, cherish you, give you the kind of life you deserve. Not this dark world of violence and control. Something better. She was drowning. Suffocating under the weight of their love and expectations. I can't. The words broke from her. I can't choose right now. Please, just give me tonight. Let me think. Fine. Jae-sung dropped his hands, stepping back. You have until morning. But at dawn, you choose. Him or me. Min-ho nodded grimly. I'll be at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. Room 2408. If you choose me, come there. I'll be waiting. And if you stay here, Jae-sung said quietly, I'll know you chose me. Min-ho grabbed his keys and wallet, heading for the door. He paused at the threshold, looking back at her. I meant what I said, Thandiwe. I love you. Not what you can do for me, but who you are. His eyes shifted to Jae-sung. And I'm sorry, brother. Sorry it came to this. But I can't walk away from her. Even for you. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot in the silence. Thandiwe and Jae-sung stood in the empty penthouse, the weight of what just happened crushing down on them. Did we just destroy everything? She whispered. Yes. Jae-sung moved to the window, staring out at the city lights. But maybe it was always going to end this way. Maybe we were fools to think we could share you. I never wanted this. Tears streamed freely now. I never wanted to come between you. I know. His voice was tired. But you did. And now we all have to live with the consequences. He turned to face her, and the pain in his eyes nearly broke her. I meant what I said, Thandiwe. I love you. Not just as my cure, but as the woman who gave me back my humanity. Who made me feel hope again. He moved closer. But Min-ho was right about one thing. I am possessive. I am obsessed with reclaiming what I lost. And maybe that's not fair to you. Jae-sung. Let me finish. He took her hands. If you choose him, I'll let you go. I'll honor that choice, even if it kills me. But if you choose me, I need you to know what you're choosing. You're choosing this dark world. You're choosing a man who will always need you a little too much. Who will always be afraid of losing you because you're the only thing keeping him alive. She looked up at him, this beautiful broken man who'd suffered so much. What if I can't choose? She asked. What if I love you both? Then you break one of our hearts. His thumb brushed away her tears. There's no other way. That night, Thandiwe lay in bed alone, staring at the ceiling as dawn approached. Her phone showed messages from Min-ho, not pressuring, just letting her know he was waiting. Reminding her that he loved her. Down the hall, she could hear Jae-sung moving around in his room. He wasn't sleeping either. By choosing to stay in this penthouse, was she choosing him by default? Or was she just too afraid to make the choice? Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. The surgery was successful. The doctors say I'll make a full recovery. Thank you, my darling. Thank you for saving me. She'd saved her mother. Saved her family. But in doing so, she destroyed two men who'd become everything to her. As the first light of dawn crept through the windows, Thandiwe made her decision. She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking as she typed the message that would change everything. Her finger hovered over the send button. One choice. Two hearts. Impossible odds. She pressed send. The message had been. Thandiwe stared at her phone, her heart pounding so hard she thought she might be sick. There was no taking it back now. No changing her mind. She'd made her choice. A soft knock at the bedroom door made her jump. Jae-sung stood in the doorway, still dressed from the night before. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. Dawn's here, he said quietly. His eyes searched her face, looking for an answer. Have you decided? Thandiwe stood, smoothing down the dress she'd thrown on. Her hands shook. I sent a message, she said. I made my choice. Something flickered in his eyes, hope mixed with fear. And I need to go. Her voice cracked. I need to see him. To explain in person. The hope died in Jae-sung's face. His jaw clenched as he stepped back, giving her space to pass. I see. His voice was hollow, empty. Like all the feeling was draining out of him again. So you chose Min-ho. Jae-sung, please. No. He held up a hand. You don't owe me an explanation. You made your choice. I said I'd honor it. He turned away, his shoulders rigid. There's a car waiting downstairs. It'll take you to him. Tears streamed down Thandiwe's face as she moved toward the door. When she reached him, she stopped. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Don't be. He still wouldn't look at her. You gave me 3 weeks of feeling alive. That's more than I had any right to ask for. She wanted to touch him, to comfort him, but what comfort could she offer? She was choosing another man. She was breaking his heart. So she walked out. The elevator ride down felt like falling. The car ride to the Ritz-Carlton felt like driving to an execution. But when she reached room 2408 and knocked on the door, her hands were steady. She knew what she had to do. Min-ho opened the door immediately. He'd been waiting by it. Hope blazed in his eyes when he saw her standing there. Thandiwe. He pulled her inside, his hands cupping her face. You came. You chose me. Min-ho, wait. But he was already kissing her, desperate and relieved. When he finally pulled back, he was smiling, really smiling for the first time since their fight. I knew you'd come. I knew you felt it too, what we have. It's real, Thandiwe. Not just about curing my numbness, but real love. Min-ho, please listen. We can leave right now. He was already pulling out his phone. I have a house in San Diego. We can go there, start fresh. Away from all of this darkness and violence. I'll give you everything. I didn't choose you. The words stopped him cold. His smile faded. What? I didn't choose you, Min-ho. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I came here to tell you in person. Because you deserve that much. But I chose Jae-sung. The color drained from his face. But you're here. You came to me. Because I couldn't let you sit here waiting, wondering. She caught his hands. Because I love you too much to let you find out through silence. You love me. His voice was hollow. But you chose him. Yes. Why? The word came out broken. Why him? What does he have that I don't? Thandiwe took a shaky breath. You were right about one thing. Jae-sung needs me in a way that's not entirely healthy. He's possessive and obsessive and he'll probably always be a little too dependent on me. Then why? Because I need him too. She met his eyes. Not in the same way, but I need him. He makes me feel powerful and wanted and necessary. And yes, maybe that's not the healthiest foundation for love, but it's real. It's raw and intense and consuming. She squeezed his hands. What we have, it's beautiful, Min-ho. It's tender and genuine and everything love should be. You see me for who I am, not just what I can do for you. And in a perfect world, I would choose you. But this isn't a perfect world, he finished bitterly. No. It's a dark world full of violence and danger. And in that world, I need someone who's just as dark, just as broken, just as desperate as I am. She touched his face gently. You're too good for me, Min-ho. You deserve someone who can give you everything. But Jae-sung and I, we're two broken pieces that somehow fit together. Min-ho pulled away from her touch, moving to the window. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. I watched him die 3 years ago. Watched his heart stop. And I thought that was the worst thing I'd ever experience, losing my brother, my best friend. He turned to face her. But this? Losing you to him? This is worse. I'm sorry. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't apologize for loving him. You can't help who you love. His laugh was bitter. God knows I tried to stop loving you. Tried to convince myself I could walk away. But I can't. Silence stretched between them. What happens now? She asked quietly. Now? Min-ho ran his hand through his hair. Now I figure out how to live without you. Without him. Without everything that mattered to me. Min-ho. You should go. His voice was gentle despite the pain in his eyes. Go back to him. Don't make him wait any longer. Thandiwe moved to the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, if I could love only one person, if my heart could choose clearly, I wish I'd chosen you. You're the better man. But you love the worse one. Min-ho's smile was sad. Story of my life. When she opened the door to leave, he called out one last time. Thandiwe? She turned. Be happy. Even if it kills me to think about it, be happy with him. Promise me that much. I promise. The words came out choked with tears. She left him standing in that hotel room, his heart shattered at his feet. When Thandiwe returned to the penthouse, Jae-sung was exactly where she'd left him, standing by the window, staring out at nothing. He turned when he heard the elevator, and the confusion on his face would have been funny in any other circumstance. You came back, he said, disbelief coloring every word. I never left. She moved toward him slowly. I went to tell Min-ho in person that I chose you. Something broke in Jae-sung's expression, relief so profound it brought him to his knees. Actually to his knees on the floor of his expensive penthouse. You chose me, he whispered like he couldn't quite believe it. Why? After everything he said, after he offered you everything. Because I love you. She knelt in front of him, taking his face in her hands. I love you in a way that terrifies me. In a way that probably isn't entirely healthy. But it's real and it's mine and I can't walk away from it. He pulled her against him, his whole body shaking. I thought I'd lost you. Thought I'd have to go back to being numb and empty. Never. She kissed him fiercely. I'm yours, Jae-sung. For as long as you want me. Forever then. He kissed her back, desperate and claiming. I want you forever. They made love right there on the living room floor, both of them crying and laughing and holding each other like they'd never let go. It was raw and intense and perfect. Afterward, lying tangled together in the early morning light, Jae-sung touched her face gently. I lost my best friend today, he said quietly. My brother. The only person who understood what I went through. I know. Thandiwe's heart ached for him. I'm sorry. Don't be. He kissed her forehead. I'd choose you over him every time. That's how much you mean to me. And maybe that makes me a terrible person, but I don't care. What will happen to him? She asked. To the business, the partnership. We'll figure it out. Jae-sung pulled her closer. We'll divide the territory, split the assets. Maybe in time, we can rebuild our friendship. But right now? He looked down at her with such intensity it stole her breath. Right now, all I care about is you. 3 months later, the yacht rocked gently on the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. White flowers draped every surface, soft music played from hidden speakers, and the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. Thandiwe stood in the yacht's master cabin, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was simple but elegant, white silk that hugged her curves and flowed to the floor. Fresh flowers woven into her natural curls. She touched the jade bracelet on her wrist, a gift from Hiroshi, passed down from someone who understood what it meant to love dangerous men. You look beautiful. Her mother appeared in the doorway, tears already streaming down her face. Like a queen. I feel like I'm dreaming, Thandiwe admitted. It's real, my darling. Her mother took her hands. And you deserve every bit of happiness coming to you. On deck, Jae-sung stood with Hiroshi beside him, both men in sharp black suits. But Jae-sung kept tugging at his tie, his usual confidence replaced with nervous energy. "Boss, relax," Hiroshi said. "She already said yes. What if she changes her mind?" Jae-sung's voice was tight. "What if she realizes she deserves better? Then you're an idiot." A familiar voice spoke from behind them. Jae-sung turned to find Min-ho standing at the edge of the deck. He wore a suit, his expression carefully neutral. "What are you doing here?" Jae-sung asked, his whole body tensing. "Hiroshi invited me." Min-ho's eyes held his former friends. "Said you were too proud to do it yourself, but that you wanted me here." Jae-sung glanced at Hiroshi, who shrugged innocently. "I didn't think you'd come," Jae-sung said quietly. "I almost didn't." Min-ho moved closer. "But then I realized, you're my brother. Have been since we were teenagers. And even though you're marrying the woman I love, even though it kills me to watch it happen, I couldn't miss your wedding." Something in Jae-sung's expression cracked. "Min-ho. I'm not here to cause trouble." Min-ho held up his hand. "I'm here to stand by my brother on the most important day of his life. If you'll have me." Jae-sung stared at him for a long moment. Then he pulled Min-ho into a tight embrace. "I'm sorry," Jae-sung's voice was thick. "For everything. For how it ended." "I know." Min-ho held him just as tightly. "I'm sorry too. For trying to take her from you. For almost destroying us." They pulled apart, both men's eyes suspiciously bright. "Can we," Jae-sung started. "Can we find our way back? Not to what we were, but to something? Maybe." Min-ho's smile was sad but genuine. "One day. When it doesn't hurt so much to look at her." The music changed. Everyone turned toward the cabin entrance. And then Thandiwe appeared. Jae-sung forgot how to breathe. Forgot everything except the woman walking toward him in the sunset light. Min-ho saw Jae-sung's expression and felt his heart crack a little more. But he also saw Thandiwe's face, the way she looked at Jae-sung like he was her entire world. And he understood. She'd made the right choice. Even if it wasn't him. The ceremony was short but meaningful. When it came time for vows, Jae-sung's voice was thick with emotion. "Thandiwe, 3 years ago, I died inside. I lost everything that made me human. I accepted that I'd live the rest of my life as an empty shell." He took her hands. "Then you danced into my world and brought me back to life. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me love when I thought I was unlovable. You gave me a future when all I saw was darkness." His voice cracked. "I promise to spend every day proving I'm worthy of the gift you've given me. I promise to protect you, cherish you, and love you with everything I am. You are my miracle, and I will never forget that." Thandiwe could barely see him through her tears. "Jae-sung, when I came to America, I thought I was searching for money to save my family. But what I found was so much more. I found a man who saw me, truly saw me, when I felt invisible. A man who made me feel precious and powerful and loved beyond measure." She squeezed his hands. "Your world is dangerous, and our life will never be normal. But I would rather have one day of this incredible love than a lifetime of safety without you. You are my home, my heart, my forever. And I promise to stand by your side through everything, to love you through the darkness and the light, and to never let you forget that you deserve to be happy." When the judge pronounced them husband and wife, Jae-sung kissed her with such passion and relief that the small gathering erupted in cheers. Min-ho watched from the back, his heart breaking and healing in the same moment. He caught Thandiwe's eye over Jae-sung's shoulder, and she mouthed "thank you" to him. He nodded once. Then he quietly slipped away. Later, as the yacht sailed along the coast under the stars, Thandiwe found Jae-sung at the railing. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "Min-ho left," she said softly. "I know." Jae-sung covered her hands with his. "But he came. That's more than I had any right to expect. Do you think you two will ever?" "Maybe." He turned in her arms. Give it time. Let him heal. Let us all heal. He pulled her close, one hand resting on her lower belly. Besides, we have other things to focus on now. Thandiwe looked up at him, confused. Then understanding dawned. How did you know? The way you've been tired lately. How you couldn't eat breakfast yesterday. His eyes shone with wonder. Are you? I wasn't sure yet. I was going to tell you after the wedding. We're having a baby. He said it like a prayer. A little girl or boy. A piece of you and me combined. Are you scared? She asked. Terrified, he admitted. But also happier than I've ever been. He kissed her softly. 3 months ago, I thought my life was over. Thought the best I could hope for was existing without feeling. But you changed everything. We saved each other, she corrected. They stood like that as the yacht continued through the night, two broken people who'd found wholeness in each other's arms. Far away in Los Angeles, Min-ho sat alone in his apartment with a glass of whiskey. His phone showed a photo from the wedding that Hiroshi had sent, Jae-sung and Thandiwe kissing under the sunset, both of them radiating joy. It hurt to look at. But he looked anyway. Be happy, he whispered to the image. Both of you. Be happy. And despite everything, despite his shattered heart, he meant it. Because that's what you did when you loved someone. You let them go. You let them find their happiness, even if it wasn't with you. The numbness was creeping back for him. Without Thandiwe's presence, the cure was fading. Soon he'd be back to feeling nothing. But for 3 months, he'd felt everything. He'd felt love and hope and desperate longing. And that was enough. It had to be. 6 months later. Thandiwe stood in the penthouse nursery, her hand resting on her growing belly. The room was painted soft yellow, filled with stuffed animals and books and everything their daughter would need. She's going to be spoiled rotten, Jae-sung said from the doorway, coming to wrap his arms around her. Completely, Thandiwe agreed, leaning back against him. I heard from Min-ho yesterday, Jae-sung said quietly. Oh. She turned to look at him. How is he? Better. He's in Seoul, rebuilding there. And he? Jae-sung paused. He met someone. A doctor who works with poison victims. She's helping him manage the numbness. Relief and something like sadness washed through Thandiwe. That's good. I'm glad he's not alone. Me too. Jae-sung kissed her temple. He said to tell you congratulations. On the baby. Did you tell him that we're naming her Min-ah? If she's a girl? Jae-sung nodded. I did. He cried. Thandiwe felt tears prick her own eyes. Do you think he'll come visit? When she's born? Maybe. In time. Jae-sung turned her in his arms. But right now, this is our moment. Our family. Our future. He knelt down, pressing a kiss to her belly. Hello in there, little one. This is your father. I'm still figuring out how to do this, but I promise I'll love you with everything I have. And your mother? He looked up at Thandiwe with such love it took her breath away. Your mother is the bravest, strongest, most beautiful person I've ever known. You're lucky to have her. Thandiwe ran her fingers through his hair, her heart so full it ached. She'd come to America searching for money to save her family. But she'd found so much more, love that transformed her, purpose that fulfilled her, and a future that shone bright despite the darkness surrounding them. The choice she'd made had broken hearts, including her own, a little. But it had also created something beautiful. Something real. And as she stood there in the nursery with her husband kneeling before her, their daughter growing inside her, Thandiwe knew one truth with absolute certainty. She'd chosen right. Not because Jae-sung was perfect, or because their love was easy, but because they needed each other in equal measure. Because they'd saved each other from the darkness. Because their broken pieces fit together in a way that made them both whole. And that was worth everything.